Okay, I know this looks a little bit rough and ready around the edges. I apologise for that. This is very much off the cuff. But I made a video yesterday about trans women, largely trans women rather than trans men, and sport, the issue of sport and elite sport and all that lot. And I got onto this whole North Carolina bathroom, toilet, restroom, whatever the fucking language you want to use, issue that's gone on there, which I know I'm a little bit late to that party as well. But it's still ongoing. And I am aware while I'm making this video, by the way, that I look like I've just been out mugging old ladies or something. It's just quicker to put this hat on. Honestly, Your Honour, it was just quicker to put this hat on than it was to sort my hair out, which looks a bit of a fucking mess. Okay, so the hat, I'm working with the hat right now. Purely for the sake of this video, even though it's fucking boiling hot in this room. So these are the two things that have sort of been on my mind with regard to that. The first is that perhaps there's this idea that it's making people a bit uncomfy. And if I say men and women, I mean cis men and cis women. I mean biological males who identify as men and biological females who identify as women. Okay, so just to keep things nice and simple there. There may be men who feel uncomfy with the idea of trans men in their toilets or women who feel uncomfy with the idea of trans women in the toilets. But how much more uncomfy are those women going to feel when there are people with beards walking into their toilets, right? Because some trans men are very convincing. They've had all these hormones. They look very they're very masculinized, aren't they? Right? It's worked. The trick's worked. And then they're now going to be going into the female toilets, the women's toilets, right? And is that really going to make the other women that are using that toilet feel more comfy? I actually don't think that it is, and it probably will be the same with the men. You're now going to have people coming in, right, in dresses with tits and long hair, and they're going to think, what the fuck, the woman's just walked into the toilet, what the fuck's going on here? Right, so never mind the discomfort it causes to the trans people, isn't it going to cause a lot of disruption and discomfort to everybody else as well? So I just don't fucking get what that perspective is. And I know there's also this idea of danger, right, that these pervert men are now going to be sneaking into the women's toilets where little girls are. And obviously we're all that much happier with them sneaking into the men's toilets where the little boys are, and presumably abusing the little boys rather than abusing the little girls, because I don't know, I don't live in North Carolina, but maybe they're just not so bothered about little boys as they are little girls. But even trying to get because I can't really wrap my head around this, right? So even I'm trying to imagine Noel the pervert, right, wanting to sneak into the women's toilets. But I don't really know what you then do anyway, because I don't know what toilets are like in the States. Maybe they're different. Maybe public toilets are different. Maybe everybody just shits and pisses in front of one another, right? It's just like a big open fucking tray with people like cattle just shitting and pissing there, and it all just gets washed away. But in the UK, we have like little cubicles that you go in with a door. So I don't really know. You kind of go in there and go, oh, there's somebody having a shit behind that door. I don't know. I don't really know why you would do it, but let's just assume that I, Noel the pervert, want to sneak in to a toilet, right, in the States, right? I want to sneak in to the women's toilet. So what they're saying in North Carolina is, unless I'm misunderstanding this, is that anywhere else in the States, all I've got to do is chuck on a dress and a wig and maybe stick a couple of, pat it out a bit, right? And then trot on in to the women's toilets. And if anybody sort of questions or I just say, well, I'm a trans woman, right? I'm transitioning, and and that's why I maybe look a little bit masculine, right? That's all it is, but I'm transitioning, right? And then they've just got to let it pass. Right? And they don't want that. They want to stop that. But what I don't understand is the way that they've stopped it now means that I don't even have to bother putting a dress on and putting the wig on and packing out a bit of a bra. Now I can just walk in looking like I'm mugging old ladies like I am now. And if anybody questions me, I'll say, don't worry about it, love. I'm a trans man. yes, you see, I'm actually female, but I'm a trans man. So you just go and have your shit and piss, and don't you worry about me, love, and everything will be fucking hunky-dory and lickety-split. So that's what I don't understand. How has that made it better in terms of this fear of sort of men creeping into the women's toilets? All it seems to have done is made it even easier for men to creep into the women's toilets, because now they don't even have to bother putting a fucking dress on in the first place. So please explain that one to me, because the logic fucking baffles me. The only real justification I can see for it is kind of some kind of mean-spiritedness, or some kind of railing against feeling that they've been forced into something, but there doesn't seem to be any actual logic behind any of it. So if there is, tell me what it is.